The film's opening scenes cross-cut to counterpoint dual protagonists. Charlotte, a recent Yale graduate, traveling with her photographer husband, versus Bob Harris, a middle-aged Hollywood star famous for action roles. As the two settle into the Park Hyatt Tokyo, we see their differences of age, at least 30 years, fame, everybody ignores Charlotte, everybody fawns on Bob, and marriage, she needs her husband's attention, he wishes his wife would leave him alone. That day, they notice each other in passing twice, once in an elevator and later in the lounge. That night, neither can sleep, so they make their way to the hotel bar where they meet by chance. As Charlotte nears Bob sitting at the bar, tension rises. Earlier that day, she and he exchanged a smile, but suppose he turns out to be an arrogant bore, or he discovers she's a lunatic fan. The question, should I talk to this stranger or drink alone, runs through the minds of both. Those doubts charge the tension of comfortable isolation versus risky intimacy that opens the scene and inflects their choices. Once they dare to converse, however, a deeper, instinctive need inspires them to move from chat to confession. As they reveal unpleasant home truths about themselves, intimacy wins out over isolation. That step then ignites yet another value, lost in life versus found in life. Lost versus found becomes the story's core value. Interior, Park Hyatt bar night. Bob sits alone over a drink, talking to the barman. Beat 1.
He got married a couple of times. To some nice women, beautiful women, too. I mean, you and I would be crazy for these women, but there were always rumors. And I never liked his acting, so I never gave a damn whether he was straight or not.
Action. Bob trying to impress the barman. Reaction. The barman pretending he's impressed. Intimacy versus isolation is at the negative. Rather than starting with that all-too-familiar image of a solitary man sitting at a bar staring into the back of his head, Coppola opens the scene with showbiz chit-chat. A Hollywood star gossiping to a Japanese barman makes Bob's loneliness character-specific and poignant. This first beat hits an amusing note that counterpoints the dark beat that climaxes the scene. Beat 2. Charlotte steps up to the bar. The barman pulls out a stool near Bob.
Thank you. Hey, thanks.
Action. The barman seating her. Reaction. Charlotte fitting in. Intimacy versus isolation is still negative. When composing a scene, ask this question before committing to any line of dialogue. At this precise moment, what are my character's choices of action? What tactic could she take? Which does she take? Every choice of tactic suggests a quality in the character's nature and determines the words she'll use to carry it out. Once again, dialogue is the outer result of inner action. So what are Charlotte's reactions, choices, and tactics as she enters this all-but-deserted bar and sees a world-famous movie star sitting on a stool alone? She could be intimidated and leave. She could give him his privacy and take a table, or she could sit within talking distance. As the barman offers her a stool, she makes the boldest choice of the three and joins Bob. Her choice to sit, at the risk of embarrassment, expresses poise. Beat 3.
What can I get you?
I'm not sure.
Action. The barman attending to her. Reaction. Charlotte testing her welcome. Intimacy versus isolation, still negative. Again, choices. Charlotte could have ordered her favorite drink immediately, but, tensed by the risk she's taking, she hesitates and gives Bob a chance to react. What he does now tells her whether or not she's actually welcome. Beat 4.
For relaxing times, make it Suntory time.
I'll have a vodka tonic. Thanks.
Bob glances at her, impressed. Action. Bob making her feel at home. Reaction. Charlotte joining in. Reaction. Bob endorsing her choice. Intimacy versus isolation has now moved to the positive. Bob's choice of self-ridicule makes her feel welcome. As she orders a serious drink, he nods in approval, and their sense of intimacy versus isolation moves toward the positive. Two strangers settle in to talk. Bob's self-ridicule announces a character dimension. Actors take their work, even in commercials, seriously, but he chooses to mock himself. This choice of action reveals an inner contradiction between his artist's pride and self-disdain. Beat 5.
So what are you doing here?
A couple of things. taking a break from my wife, forgetting my son's birthday, and getting paid $2 million to endorse a whiskey when I could be doing a play somewhere.
Oh.
Action, Charlotte inviting a conversation. Reaction, Bob confessing to his 3 chief failures in life. Reaction, Charlotte concealing her shock. The value of lost versus found now is doubly negative. Charlotte opens a door to the unexpected. If you were her, imagine your reaction as you sit next to a world-famous movie star whom you think leads an enviable lifestyle, ask him how he's doing, and, offhandedly, he tells you that his life is misery. The phrase taking a break doesn't tell Charlotte whether Bob blames himself, his wife, or both for his marital problems, but he clearly damns himself for forgetting his son's birthday, and most of all, for corrupting his creative life by choosing money over art. Bob's declaration of failure not only surprises Charlotte, but he crosses a red line, that formal distance we traditionally keep between strangers and ourselves. His trespass puts Charlotte under a bit of pressure. Now that the personal value of lost versus found has entered the conversation, she wonders if she should take a giant step toward intimacy and add her confession to his. She does. Bob's revelation wrenches their chat into cycles of confession. Beat 6.
But the good news is the whiskey works.
Action, Bob soothing her feelings. Reaction, Charlotte sympathizing. Intimacy versus isolation stays at the positive. This beat of mutual empathy takes them a smidge closer to intimacy. Bob's confession in beat 5 upset her, but he's sensitive enough to see what he's done and regret it. He quickly softens the moment with a joke. She, in return, sees that he's embarrassed, and so she laughs in sympathy to ease his chagrin. Beat 7.
What are you doing?
My husband's a photographer, so he's here working, and wasn't doing anything, so I came along, and we have some friends that live here.
Action, Bob inviting her confession. Reaction, Charlotte confessing to an empty, perhaps troubled personal life. Lost versus found becomes doubly negative. From the moment their eyes met in beat 4, they communicate openly and honestly. Cocktail chat becomes in vino veritas. In beat 5, Bob dared an intimate confession, and now he tempts her to join him. Once again, choices. She could have replied, "Oh, I'm having a wonderful time. My husband's on a photo shoot, and I'm enjoying some old friends." Instead, her passive, tepid phrases imply the unflattering truth of her married life. Bob reads her troubled subtext. Beat 8.
How long have you been married?
Oh, thank you. 2 years?
25 long ones.
Action. Bob readying his pass. Reaction, Charlotte preparing to take it. Reaction, Bob making his pass. Intimacy versus isolation is now at the negative, decidedly so. Charlotte has just confessed that her married life is unfulfilling, so Bob cannot resist making a pass at this beautiful young woman by complaining about his unfulfilled married life. Note how Coppola has the older man make his move. He reacts to his own action. He asks Charlotte how long she's been married, knowing that whatever number she might name, he can top it with a quarter-century of dissatisfaction. Note also Charlotte's choice. As he lights her cigarette, she sees the pass coming and could have deflected it by answering, 2 wonderful years, or more aggressively with a question of her own, why do you ask? Instead, she lets it skate. But make no mistake, this is a sexual proposition. How serious is hard to say. Bob could be doing it out of masculine ritual, but when a middle-aged guy laments his lengthy, less-than-happy marriage to a young woman at a bar, he's hoping for more than sympathy. Bob's pass could push Charlotte away, but instead, she moves closer. Beat 9.
You're probably just having a midlife crisis. Did you buy a Porsche yet?
You know, I was thinking about buying a Porsche.
Action, Charlotte foiling his pass. Reaction, Bob complimenting her wit. Intimacy versus isolation moves back to the positive. Charlotte knows his pass is half-hearted at best, and so she teases him about his age in order to say no with a touch of kindness. He graciously acknowledges her wit. Beat 10.
25 years. It's impressive.
Well, you figure you sleep 1/3 of your life. That knocks off 8 years of marriage right there. So you're down to 16 and change, and you're just a teenager at marriage. You can drive it, but there's still the occasional accident.
Yeah.
Action. Charlotte offering a silver lining. Reaction. Bob confessing his rocky marriage. Reaction. Charlotte complimenting his wit. Lost versus found in life moves again to the negative. From previous scenes, we know Charlotte has doubts about her husband and her future. When she tries to compliment Bob's marriage, he reminds her of a reality she knows from her own life. Relationships rarely live up to our dreams. Bob softens that harsh truth with a depth comparison of marriage to teen driving, but his cynical answer offers no hope. Nevertheless, Charlotte laughs to compliment his insight. Note that beats 4, 5, 8, and 10 play in 3 steps rather than the conventional 2. Normally, a new action immediately follows an action-reaction. Instead, these beats run action, reaction, reaction. When a reaction triggers yet another reaction, it often signals a deeper connection between the characters, a greater sense of intimacy. As Oscar-winning screenwriter Philip Jordan put it, do not drown your script with endless dialogue and long speeches. Every question does not call for a response. Whenever you can express an emotion with a silent gesture, do so. Once you pose the question, permit it to linger before you get a reply, or better yet, perhaps the character cannot reply. He or she has no answer. This permits the unspoken response to hang in midair. Beat 11.
What do you do?
I'm not sure yet, actually. I just graduated last spring.
What did you study?
Philosophy.
Yeah, there's a good buck in that racket.
Yeah. Well, so far it's pro bono.
Action. Bob inviting her personal story. Reaction. Charlotte confessing to an unpromising future. Lost versus found in life moves even further to the negative. Having made his second confession in beat 10, Bob draws Charlotte out again, and she confesses that, like her personal life, her professional life is adrift. Beat 12.
Well, I'm sure you'll figure out the angles.
Yeah.
Action. Bob offering false hope. Reaction. Charlotte laughing it off. Intimacy versus isolation is at the positive, but lost versus found, negative. The world-weary Bob offers hope encrusted with irony. Charlotte's laugh lets him know she gets it, and then she needles him with beat 13.
I hope your Porsche works out.
Bob nods. Action. Charlotte also offering bogus hope. Reaction. Bob signaling that he too gets it. Intimacy versus isolation is now doubly positive. They're moving closer together, but lost or found in life, again, is at the negative. They both get it. Unhappy as they are, they won't lie to themselves. Sharing this tough truth draws them closer yet. Beat 14.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Kampai.
Action. Charlotte celebrating their victory over self-deception. Reaction. Bob joining her celebration. Intimacy versus isolation is now triply positive. This upbeat gesture prepares for the downbeat turning point that caps the scene. Beat 15. A long pause.
Wish I could sleep.
Me too.
Another long pause. Action. Charlotte confessing she feels lost within herself. Reaction. Bob confessing that he too feels lost. Lost versus found in life is at the triply negative, but intimacy versus isolation is extremely positive. These two have connected. The lines, "I wish I could sleep," and "me too," intimate a subtext of suffering as moving as any I can remember. Sleep restores sanity. Without it, existence becomes a mad ticking clock. When you toss and turn, unstoppable racing thoughts send worries and fears swirling and churning through the mind. Charlotte and Bob cannot sleep. Why not? Jet lag, racing thoughts. In my reading of the subtext, their sleeplessness has a deeper cause. As their confessions reveal, they feel cast off from their marriages, adrift in their working lives, at sea within themselves. A hollow place has opened up inside both that neither family nor work can fill. Charlotte and Bob have lost their purpose in life.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.